A black woman with a white man. There, I said it. For a long time, every time I saw a black woman with a white man, something would come over me. I don't know what it was. I have felt it. I don't know whether it's rage or jealousy or envy. It could be a combination of all three.
It's definitely all three. Let's not play.
But there is something there. It still happens even today. Somehow, I feel like, not that, oh goodness, I'm going to sound incredibly now, but I'm not. Sometimes I feel like, as a black man, we own our women.
There's no difference.
That they belong to us and nobody else. And for a long time, I've had this conflict inside my mind. As you guys already know, I have dated outside my race before. I'm currently with a woman who is, not of my kin, not of my culture, not of my background. In fact, we couldn't be more different in terms of our background. Yeah, I'm with her and I love her and we have children together.
I refuse to believe different from a man.
Okay, so basically, I didn't want to hear her opinion, but basically, he's dating or he's married to a white woman, but he still has a problem with seeing. And let me just say this: as a person who has been seen in public with a white man, maybe two, I do get the looks that you guys claim you get. I get them too. I do. It's like.
Is anybody else thinking what I'm thinking?
That whole thing was staged. Did you see that man's hands and what he was doing? This is the agenda of black women. Y'all got this dude to make a video pretending to be against it. This dude was like, I just feel like I don't today. I'm like, that dude ain't for real. He's a tambourine player.
The only thing I thought was in regards to that, something similar to that on one of the panels. I can't remember who it was, but it was something to that same effect, with the mindset that men think that they, should have access to everything, basically, and they were speaking somewhat to that, like it would bother them to see Black women with a white man.
So
specifically,
I've heard Jay Prince make this argument, and he pulled people.
That's who it was. Then probably
this is the argument that men have the seed, right? So you if you want an apple tree, you could plant it in hydroponic and regular soil and all of those things. If he was making an argument about the future of black people existing, and he was saying black men can plant their seed pretty much anywhere and it still be a black child. But if you plant, because the seed is coming from the man, and if you plant the seed someplace else, it's a good chance that it won't be a black child. And then, like, we spent like an hour pulling up biracial kids with it's a difference between how black male children with another race versus black women.
Really? I didn't know that.
So I think that's an interesting fact, especially since Jay Prince and I decided to disagree on the validity of science.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Mitochondrial.
Don't tell me that came from JP.
Yeah, sorry. Mitochondrial DNA is a very important part of science. That is like the DNA lineage of the maternal lineage. That child is still black, especially if we're talking about the US. Let's not pretend the one drop rule did not exist, right? And nobody cared about whether it was from the man or the woman. That one drop rule meant if you had one drop of black blood in you, nobody cared if it came from the man or from the woman. You were still considered black. I think this insistence of denying people's blackhood is ridiculous. I mean, y'all, Marcus, you were here when Chaotic tried to tell me I was barely black, even though my lineage is like descendant over generations from Africa. Like, there's this like need to like preserve a very specific experience of blackhood, and exclude everything else in order to validate one's own experience. And I think that's absolutely absurd, because here's the one thing, right? we could talk about the significance of having a Black father, because Black fatherhood is absolutely important, and I will never minimize that. However, there has also been very significant studies done to show that having a Black mother actually connects biracial children to their Black culture a lot more significantly than having a Black father, for the one specific reason that mothers take on the majority of childcare, involvement in their upbringing, and socialization, right? And so what they found is that children who are born biracial, Black biracial, to non-white mothers typically feel more ostracized from the Black community.
I would wonder how much custody had to do with that, but
No, these are two-parent households. These are not, yeah.
Man, my phone's speaking.
I can see that even with the celebrities who are mixed race, you know, especially the boys. I see that when I see the mixed guy, he tends to not date. He would be more prone to dating outside his race than if the mom were Black. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
no.
You saying
Say that again? I'm not sure if I understood what you were saying.
So even if I take
I
celebrities, so even if I take celebrities and athletes in consideration, most of the lighter skinned mixed race men who date women who are white, they have the Black father. And the opposite being, you know, with the and just in general, when I look at
That's
I mean, look at the tapes. Look at the tapes. They had their dad is Black. And even though they mentioned a lot about, you know, being Black, do they really move?
so, but Shan, okay, so two things. So one, we're trying to like, Black looks like this, right? I think that's like a really dangerous territory to tread on. And two, I think that replicating the example of what you grew up with should not necessarily be ostracized, right? So if you grew up with a Black father and a white mother, or a non-Black mother, and you are now looking for women who are non-Black, you're literally just replicating exactly what you grew up with, right?
Oh, for sure. I'm not knocking it.
Yeah, but like I think so many times that people want to be like, okay, well that's, you're colorist and like that's racist, and they're just replicating what they grew up with. The same way that we talk about people who grew up in two-parent homes will typically wind up getting married, and people who grew up in single-parent homes will typically, you know, not want to get married. It's just a replication of what their household looked like.
So he was pulling up like pictures like this or whatever, and my screen got a little crack in it.
Are you trying to say that baby didn't look Black?
That's a very white baby.
Hold on.
That is a very white kid.
Listen, man. No, we're not even. No, because we let him talk too long when he was here, and as someone who is taught, you know, anatomy, physiology, biological science, I cannot let this stand. I think if we're talking about like mitochondrial DNA, it's only differences in like gene expression, but I don't think it goes out to that to that extent that blacker children look Black. No, I don't think it does.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I didn't say anything about looking. I said access to the community.
Access, because you know, you go to your mom's parents' house more than you go to your dad's parents' house for the most part. Majority, maybe not everybody, but for the majority, most of the time, y'all I mean, besides Coach K, who was raised by her dad, but in a typical majority household, if they're divorced, or even if they're together, a lot of times that woman's family, I don't know what it is, they're more attached.
No, it's very easy to determine why. You know, if in a traditional sense, you pass your, like, fathers kind of leave their sons to go out like into the world. It's more likely that a maternal grandmother will live in the home with the family than the paternal grandma. Like, it's like I need to take care of my mom. What about my mom? Like, literally, like even my own wife. Like some days, even though, you know, she has my dad, I'd be like, damn, what about my mom? You'll be like, my mom. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just natural.
I don't think it's natural. I think that's a taught behavior. I think that women are, because they are taught to be caregivers, that responsibility goes to the daughter. So, Trigger Mike, you don't have to answer this, but if you have a sister, I would assume that your mother would stay with your sister.
Nope, she coming with me or my brother. That's
literally already married though.
I was gonna say it's already been determined.
Depending on the wife, I think that a lot of that
my sisters unfortunately are modern women. My mom don't want to stay with them. No.
Interesting.
That's funny.